enjoy the session. It's an honor to pass it off to our session presenters.
Thank you, Mitch. Hi, everybody. My name is Jobeth Gonzalez, and I am co-presenting this session with my friend from Burkina Faso, Dia Sanogo. And we are going to share my screen for a component of this, as I have a whiteboard to share with us. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And as I do this, I'm going to ask if you can see my slideshow. Is that available to see? Okay, good. So I just wanted to begin by sharing something that Howard Gardner once said in 2020. Some cultures have pioneered in the law, others in medicine, others in science or politics. But dating back to the Paleolithic era, every culture in the world has produced art, often art that speaks across time and across national boundaries. Cave art from many thousands of years ago merits as much space in a museum as Impressionist or Expressionist art of the last 2 centuries. I propose that we take advantage of this universal language to launch and seek to effect a truly global education. Howard Gardner actually was a speaker at an AAT conference a while ago. And that's exactly what this is all about, from the local stage to the global platform. I'm going to introduce to you 4 global competence skills and then tell you what we'll be doing in our session this afternoon. The first global competence skill is to investigate the world. The second is to recognize perspectives. The third is to communicate ideas. And the fourth is to take action. So what we're going to do is first, Dia is going to speak and describe the foundations for cross-cultural theater experience that helped our students exercise their global competence skills. I'm going to describe the project and some insights that students had. And then we're actually going to spend the majority of time engaging you in brainstorming ideas for your own programs and sharing out some of those ideas. And so I would like to invite Dia to open up your microphone, Dia, and begin to introduce yourself, and I'll share pictures as you go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Dia Sanogo. I teach English in a public school named Lycée Départemental de Nagrengo High School in Burkina Faso. And I've been teaching for 14 years now. Yeah. Before starting, I would like to introduce my school community. Nagrengo High School is located in the commune of Nagrengo, mainly in the Plateau Central region, and it takes 38 minutes from the capital city, Ouagadougou, to reach the rural community of Nagrengo. Over 23,000 people live there. Most of them are breeders, farmers, craftsmen, and tradesmen. I can say that Nagrengo community is an education-friendly one, and the school is the biggest public school in the area, in the commune. My school comprises 13 classes with 623 students, including 287 boys and 336 girls, for 23 teachers. I would like to talk about the class size. The approved class size is 60 students in the senior high school, and 70 students in the junior high school. The school is currently, let's say the school administration is currently struggling to provide a school with electricity and water, because the school lacks running water. There is no faucet right in the school providing water. So students need to go to the nearest pump and get water for their needs. And this year, only 8 classes have power, electricity out of the team. So the administration is working to try to see how we could provide the school with both water and electricity for the coming school year. Now, I would like to talk about the school supporters, financial supporters. The main financial supporter is the Parents Association. That's why I was telling you that the Nagrengo community is an education-friendly one, and parents are really engaged in providing money, resources to help the school function properly. And the commune also, through the town council, also is a money provider for the school, and the native of the area who are successful businessmen or traditional healers. Yeah. This is what I can tell briefly about my school.
Dia has mentioned that in her school, unfortunately, arts education is not very strong. Would you like to go into that, Dia? Okay.
Yeah. Art education is not really strong because, the state made a provision in favor of artistic and cultural education. And then in primary school, students are taught recitation, they are taught singing, and they are taught drawing. But when they reach the high school, they are virtually disconnected from arts education because there is no formal art education program in schools in Burkina. Arts education is not included in the curricula. So this makes it very difficult for teachers to embark students on arts education, and arts activities. This is the main problem. And teachers also are not trained. Teachers are not trained in arts, music, in dance, in visual art, in drama, to come and teach students in our school. I've been to the US and I've seen what teachers are doing there with the students, but this is not the case in my country.
Dia has told me that arts education does exist when there is an event that is important to celebrate the arts for, which sometimes is end of year celebration. So I'm going to show you a short clip from a dance that students at a nearby school presented.
Anything, I know fitness. You know what fits in my shoes. High fashion, give me shoes. Wanna see something I do tomorrow? If you I'm gonna make you do that. Show you get kitty power. Sweetie passing, I'm a lucky to kitty power. Just to please you know
If only we could have more of that. So what I would like to do now is share with you the project that Dia and I created together. So there were 5 goals for this project that we did this past November. We wanted to connect teams from my school and Dia's. This is my students talking with Dia's students virtually in October. While Dia was here, she spoke with community members at our university and our library. We wanted to create an original play that would share themes between her school and my school and explore issues of equity and gender. We wanted Dia to go home with ideas that she could then share with her own school. And so what happened were my students did a lot of brainstorming and script writing in consultation with Dia. And what else would teenagers do when they're trying to bring cultures together, but bring in space aliens who could do the trick? And that's what they did. So aliens, kidnapped characters from Bowling Green, Ohio, and 2 humans from Burkina Faso. And they had to tell stories in order to see which Earthlings would be able to live and which ones would be used for a laboratory experiment. We used 3 folk tales from Burkina Faso that Dia helped us choose. And our students really struggled to figure out who in the world what stories from the United States they could tell, because they knew that none of them were indigenous. They knew that, most of our stories come from kind of European American cultures. And so they decided to pick somebody who was actually truly American, and that was Dolly Parton. And so they told stories related to 3 of her songs. And those themes were connected to the themes that Dia wanted the play to wrestle with. If you believe in yourself, you can succeed. Ideas are more important than money. And honesty and transparency are necessary for effective leadership. 3 themes ran through. The literacy rate was common. The need for arts education was common. And looking at gender equity was a common thread. My students learned about daily life in Burkina Faso. They learned about the cultural burdens women still face, the simplicity of classrooms in Burkina and the high number of students. They learned about the food, the music, the sports, the festivals of Burkina. And most significantly, they recognized that as speakers of English, they have great privilege. Dia's students, it was awesome. Dia recognized that her own students were gaining leadership even while she was in the United States, as they made this video about becoming leaders and speaking English on their own. But Dia, could you also talk about the observations that your 2 students made, that your student made about the United States?
Upon returning home, I just shared the Play YouTube link with my students, and those who could connect and watch the play were kind of intrigued to see young Americans talking about, let's say, burning issues concerning the country, burning issues about women's condition, teenagers' condition, schoolgirls' difficulties. And then 1 week later, one of the girls came to me, one of my students came to me and told me, "Hey, madam, these young actors counted in Mori. Mori is one of the most spoken native language of the country." I said yes, and she was just surprised. And then she added that they were wearing the Faso d'Anfani fabric. It is it's a famous and very popular, a popular fabric in our country. And then I think that this gives a very good perspective to my students about the US. And this experience for sure will break the cultural barriers and destroy any kinds of stereotypes people have here about Americans. Through the play, they will see that it is possible to work together. It is possible for young learners, to get to know Burkina culture. And this is just amazing from my point of view.
Thank you, Dia. When I was talking about the play, was I showing my screen?
We
So you
saw the dance, but we didn't see any of the other
Okay.
slides.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick share. Sorry about that. Let's just go back really quick so that you can see the stuff I was pointing to. So this is the students interacting with each other.
Yeah.
This was Dia speaking in the community. This is the Burkina Faso fabric, the Danfani fabric that Dia was alluding to, that she brought with us, that we made costumes for. This is Dia's students learning technology when Dia returned, and these are images from the play. Aliens, etc. Before we start to break up into groups and challenge ourselves, I did want to let you know that we encountered some challenges ourselves. Dia almost didn't make it because her visa didn't get processed until luckily the US Embassy intervened. We were fortunate to have received a grant from the US State Department that was really not only helped Dia get here financially, but helped us in this respect. It is actually quite expensive to mail a few pounds of fabric to the US. So she just brought it with us, with her, and we made the fabric, the costumes when she arrived. Dia almost didn't make it either because her flight was canceled because of the political unrest in that area of West Africa. For a while, she actually had two airline tickets here. We ended up canceling Air France, and she was able to fly here on Ethiopian Air. And when Dia returned home, she wanted to share everything with her students, but the students went on strike because, as Dia said, there is a minimum amount of electricity in the classrooms, and that was, you know, causing them to literally go on strike. So social activism exists everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions before we move on into the next step, now that we've provided you with a little foundation for the work? Okay, so what we would like to do now is invite you to think a little bit yourselves about how one might think about a collaborative venture between a US school and a school from another country, particularly a developing world where arts education, as Dia indicated, is less typical. So we're in a little bit, we're going to form great breakout rooms, maybe 2 or 3. And in those great breakout rooms, we would like you to think about those global competence skills, investigating the world, taking action, reflecting. And we would like you to invent a project, a theater project that could bridge these two cultures together. So I'm going to share with you some questions to think about when you get into your breakout rooms, and then I'll put those in the chat too, and then we'll pop in and out. But before we do that, Dia has your own brainstorming activity to do. Do you want to talk about the reflection activity, Dia?
Okay. So your individual involvement is required now. We're going to carry out an activity named the Collective Community Mindset. I would like you to think about the communities in which you teach. And then in 5 minutes, could you please sketch in words or drawings a profile of your community to identify the collective mindset of its members? Then list factors that influence its members' generally shared outlooks on life. The purpose of this activity is for US teachers to identify the shared ideology of their community before they connect with individuals who represent very different cultures and ideologies.
And before we go into this for a few minutes, you know, Dia shared her own culture with us. And, you know, I'll do a quick share of where I teach. So this is kind of what you want to do. Where I teach, Bowling Green is a middle class, predominantly white community in the Midwest. Our community members are generally conservative. The economic status is probably the biggest disparity here. And so as we think about that, I think it's useful to kind of think about how your own economic status, that of your students, can impact your choices. So let me share the screen again, and I will show you some questions to ponder. So number one, so first of all, think about the demographics, the industries, the quality of schools, the location of your school, and then what factors influence the cultural ideology of your community. So let's take a few minutes to just do this for yourself. You aren't going to share it with the whole group. It just might impact how you talk with your group members. So I'm going to turn off my mic for about 3 minutes, okay? And I'll keep this screen. So with those ideas in mind, having a sense of what your own community is like, its values, its economic factors, its opportunities, its proximity to multicultural spaces or metropolises, the influences in your community. What we're going to do now is connect into breakout rooms with some other people on this call, and I'm going to ask you if you could please invent some sort of project, a theater-based project that could connect students from your community with a community from somewhere else in the world. So here's the objective. You're going to imagine a theater project that your United States teens could collaborate with a community from a developing nation or vice versa. So think about these big ideas. How would your project help teens from a developing country create theater in presence or remotely? What benefits would the project offer? What tangible or intangible costs might be associated with it? How might teachers find potential collaborators in your own communities to support this? How might your project intensify teens' quest for understanding themselves and their own communities and their intercultural partners? And how might your global-oriented theater collaborations spark self-agency? And as you're keeping these big questions in mind, finally, try to do these. Identify a developing nation that might be a partner with this project. What themes might the project explore? What approaches to drafting a script or crafting a theater performance piece could you take? And what strategies could you use to connect teams from both cultures? You know, we talked about technology. How could you maybe use technology to help you connect? So does anyone have any questions about that next step?
I wonder, sorry. Hi, JoBeth, it's Alexandra. I just noticed on the footer of your slides that it said Fulbright Teacher Exchange. Is that, I may have missed this, the kind of catalyst for your collaboration?
Oh, well, that's a really good question. Actually, yes, because I first met Dia in 2016 or 17 when Dia was a partner through an IREX program, which is supported in part by the US State Department, to Bowling Green. And because of her influence, and I got involved with Fulbright and went to India through a different program with IREX. And it was through the fact that the two of us are alumni of the State Department's programs that they were able to support in part our venture. So that's how we actually met. But my guess is that, you know, there are lots of ways that people can sort of make friends interculturally, way beyond what I've done. And so I think, you know, brainstorming ways to tap that is also something that could be discussed. Yeah, Mitch.
JoBeth, as we go into these these breakout spaces, are you envisioning each person coming up with their own plan and sharing what they've just sort of jotted down, or are people now combining ideas?
I would say, why don't you brainstorm together? And then that takeaway can help you continue to sort of mull over. But at this point, I think more brains are stronger than one. And if by chance this just puts you on a different tangent related to the topic, use this time to explore it and then share back to us, you know, because I don't want this to feel like a didactic assignment. But let's make that a goal. Other questions? Okay, well, why don't let's make some 2 or 3 breakout spaces, and then Dee and I, we can just pop in and out and be an ear or step in, whatever.
Great. I'm going to be pressing the breakout room button at this time, and you'll hopefully see a box appear on your screen. Click the join button to go to that space in these breakout rooms. And if you have questions or concerns, you can always come back to this main space where I will be. Lori, I also know you just joined this room, so if you want to stick around for a little bit more explanation, we're happy to repeat anything.
Hi there. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my connection issues, so I may have to join again. My apologies.
All good, all good. The And I think Yonaba and Zita and Jess, let me know if I can be of any assistance putting you into spaces. We can also have a conversation in this space about uh, our envisioned or imagined projects. And Joe Beth, you're certainly able to jump between rooms if that's helpful. I'll share a little bit of what I wrote down and was thinking about in this sort of what if project. The community of students that I work in New York City is ethnically and demographically diverse, which is to say the high school populations that I work with are 45% Hispanic, Latino, 35% Black African American or Black African, and then 10% Middle Eastern, 10% Asian, 10% white. So it is always a mix of culture and story, but things that they have in common as high schoolers are technology. They are all connected to that at various levels, but it's definitely like a prime motivator. And then also their like identity as New York City high school kids. Very cool. And the fact that they have means to transportation, the MTA, the public transportation in the city is quite vast. So they have the ability to travel. Those are the three things that I came up with in terms of identity. Hi, Ganaba, welcome back. We are still in breakout rooms. If you would like to go to one, I can assign you, but you're also welcome to stay here and chat with me during this activity time. Yonaba, can you hear me? Hi, Yonaba, can you hear me now? I'm Mitch. Joe Beth and the other group members have gone into breakout rooms, but you and I can be a breakout room. Tell me about yourself.
I don't get you. My connection is not good at all. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Great. Tell me about yourself.
What?
Who are you? Tell me about you.
Mr. Yonaba Sullivan.
Do you work in Burkina Faso with Dia?
I'm English teacher at Burkina Faso.
Oh, fabulous. Did you work with some of the students who were in the dance and in the photos?
What?
Did you work with the students that were featured in the dance that was shared?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had a chance to work with Jo Beth? With Dr. G?
What?
Have you worked with Jo Beth Gonzalez before?
No.
Okay. What is your interest in work with theater or the arts?
Mine?
Yeah, yours.
I don't follow what I changed the conference. I don't see other members. I don't understand what happened.
Okay. Well, I can tell you a little bit about myself. I work with teachers and students in New York City, and we help them, the students, learn about theater and learn about storytelling and set design or costume design. And then the students will make their own plays. Sometimes the students will work with other theater companies to help produce plays that are going to professional productions that might
Hi, Mitch.
Hi, Holly, how are you?
I'm good. You put two people in my breakout room. I think they were both men from Burkina Faso. And I put my screen on, but one of them disappeared and one of them said he needed a minute and he hasn't come back. And I don't know if I should just wait there. I've turned my screen off. I don't know what to do.
I think you're making the right decision by coming back to this room. And we're going to invite Amy or Ami, who was maybe in that session with you, back to this room.
Okay.
I think some of our participants who are maybe in international countries are having some technology issues.
Okay.
So
Thank
maybe you and I can chat. I was able
Okay.
I was able to share my story a little bit with Yonaba, but also some maybe technology issues. Holly, tell me about yourself and the project that you envisioned.
Oh, I would rather hear yours, you know.
Deal.
Go ahead, please.
Well, where are you located?
I'm in Pomona, California, and I teach elementary school. I'm a special ed teacher and I work with regular kids. I mean, I work in an inclusive classroom, but we have a lot of connections with Mexico. And a lot of our kids are Latino and of African American descent. And I think that my fifth grade co-teacher would really be into doing something like this, but we couldn't do anything near the scope of what was presented, obviously.
Understood, but I love that, like, geographical proximity, and that's a great project. Also, the fact that you get to work with elementary school students, like, they're game for everything.
They are.
I work in New York City, and as the theater sort of, the community is mostly high school students, and they are simultaneously either self-electing to say, like, I want to make theater, I want to be in a group of high school students to make theater, or in classrooms where we're doing arts integration, so they are not into theater until they are. The themes that I think would be most connective, which is to say, because of the student populations in New York City public schools, we're like 45% Latino, 35% Black, African, 10% Middle Eastern, 10% Asian, and then 15% white. There's a great confluence of, like, access to different stories thematically. I loved and, like, also cringed, like, in the right way when Jo Beth said Dolly Parton. I was just like, yes, and oh my gosh, of course. So that was really, like, an interesting share. I think technology would be where our students, like, tend to go. There's this, like, need and very much desire to have access to all of the communities that exist on technology. And that's how, like, they don't have emails anymore. They just have Instagram. So like that's a world that I think would be interesting. And then I think transportation is something that I think might be a theme or a story that comes up because our students have access to the MTA and the subways and the buses that like it is built into them to be able to travel, like to be able to go from the Bronx to Midtown or down to Coney Island to the beach. And then like that's a very interesting thing that they can travel 45 miles in a day and be like, yep, that was my day. So those are some of the themes that I'm interested in.
That's great. And my kids there's no public transportation, nothing, so that's fascinating. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
And that they do it all without their parents, where it's just like, oh, they just go. It's really interesting. I assume you said an elementary school, so they're pretty dependent upon like a school bus system and parents drop off and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and like elementary school students in New York are as well. Like they don't get on the subway.
That's true. I didn't remember that. Yes.
Actually, and when you see a young child on the subway alone, everyone on the subway is just like, what's going on? Is that the kid whose parents trust them too much? What's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas,
Um,
sorry, in contrast, I lived in Japan for such a long time, and you see these little tiny kindergartners getting on to the subway in pairs, and it's perfectly safe and normal. It's just these comparisons are kind of wild when you said transportation. Yeah.
that makes a ton of sense. And I think one of the things that struck me in JoBeth's presentation about their work, and maybe our guests here will shed light onto this, but that student strike and student activism, I think our students, because of some global issues right now, whether it's because we have actually an interestingly high population of Ukrainian families and Ukrainian students, or students from Israel or of the Jewish faith or Palestinian, like those global issues are moments of activism right now in our high schools. Are there activism issues? I mean, I know that like electricity and water were clearly examples there in Burkina Faso. Are there things in Panoma?
I actually work 30 minutes away in a more higher needs area. And yes, because all of these Amazon warehouses are being built right around our school. And we have some of the most unhealthy air quality in the country as a result of all of those trucks and things. So that is a thing.
Yeah.
Our guests are back. Hi.
Hello, hello. I wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Is it pronounced Ami? Amy?
Hello.
Hello.
I am not very good at English. I'm not very good at English, but I can present me.
Please.
You can present me. Yes, I am Emi Make Ouedraogo. I am a philosophy teacher in high school, Lumbila High School in Burkina Faso. It will be good to think of project about technology.
I agree. I think technology and students, that theme, there's a lot of synergy there.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Thank you for coming, and your English is good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yonova, have you had a chance to introduce yourself yet?
Hello.
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 Hello, hello.
Yes, I want to know. I was in the other, let me see, other meeting or it is the same meeting. I saw Mrs. Sanogo and others, but in this room I don't see them. What happened? I don't understand well.
They have gone to breakout rooms, to smaller conversations like the one that we're having right now with just 4 people. And in 5 or so minutes, they will all come back.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So I will try. So I saw that English teacher at Burkina Faso, Lycée de Sawana. My school name is Lycée de Sawana.
okay.
You get me?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Okay.
that's great. I'm so glad that you were able to join today, and I know the technology.
My network is not good. That's why I don't follow directly the meeting. Sometimes my network is broken.
I see. Yes.
Yeah, it's
So
a
I don't
challenge.
follow
It's a challenge.
correctly.
Holly, do you have any experience making theater across borders?
What?
I was in the Philippines for 3 years and
Yeah.
worked with some Filipino students who didn't have any access to theater, and we did a couple of short plays. But it's a little different than this cross-cultural combining cultures, but I'm anxious I'd love to learn and explore that.
And like you were there in person with them, which is always, lovely. But right? I can imagine the Philippines, thousands of islands, also tricky to like get people together, that maybe technology is forming some opportunities.
Yeah. But technology also can be challenging there, just like everywhere else,
It only works if it works.
Yes.
We have, or I should say, there's a theater company that I'm associated with called Precipice, and they have a relationship in the Balkans with Bosnia and Herzegovina, and so it's been interesting to see the communication that has continued after a project, and maybe a little bit like yours, where you go and you spend time in the country, and didn't sound like JoBeth went to Burkina Faso. JoBeth had gone to India, but like, what are those relationships and how are they maintained after the visit, and that point of exchange?
That is a great question. That would be interesting to hear what our facilitators have to say about that.
And Daya clearly has continued that exchange, right? She came, it's my understanding,
Came before, I thought, didn't she?
before the project, like came and studied with JoBeth in Indiana.
Met
Indiana,
the students
Ohio.
and then went back, I think.
Yep. Which I think is really neat. There's so much, and they had mentioned the IREX program, which we've had fellows from the IREX program come to our offices in New York before for a time, and I like that model of there's a wonderful tradition of Americans going to other countries, but bringing artists and teachers to America is also as important, if not more.
Agreed. I agree. Excuse me for a minute, I'm gonna cough.
Of course. We have a new guest joining here in the last bit. See if they. Hi, Angela. Welcome. Just so you know, we're currently in breakout rooms right now, and I can give you a little update on what's happened so far, if that's helpful.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I thought I'd just see what's happening.
Yeah. You caught us at the moment when we've gone into breakout rooms and brainstormed different ideas with each other about international art making collaboration facilitated by teachers and artists with students. And so we dreamed up projects or ideas that might be thematically appropriate for the students that we work with, but also asking ourselves what might be benefits, the costs, the challenges, and where could self-agency be a part of such collaborations. One of the examples that was shared by Daya and JoBeth with their collaboration in Burkina Faso was the benefit of getting to see your stories cross borders, but the challenges of students who are excited to learn, but also self-advocating for themselves and maybe going on strike, or when the electricity is turned off, do you keep going to school?
Right.
So good questions about priorities around our art making as well.
Ah, okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
Oh, I taught college theater for over 20 years in English, and I just recently recertified. I'm in Albany, New York, and I am in a magnet school working with pre-K through 5 as a full-time teacher, theater teacher. This last year was my first full-time year. I worked there part-time the year before, so I'm negotiating how that works, not just being a guest artist, but actually being part of the curriculum, and I'm creating curriculum. And where I am in Albany is interesting because we do have a lot of English as a second language students. We have a lot of international students. So I would love to be able to have something where they could represent their communities that they go, home to in the summer and things like that.
Congratulations on the full-time adventure.
Oh, yes.
As someone who was the freelance teaching artist for many years, yes, it's a different life.
Yes.
And you said Albany. Are you in Albany, New York?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
I'm down in New York City. Holly is in California. Yonoba and Amie are both in Burkina Faso in Africa, West Africa.
Wow.
And are associated with one of the presenters who's in a different breakout room right now. As teachers at a school there that did a cross-cultural, intercultural experience with a school that JoBeth Gonzalez teaches at here in the Midwest. So they presented on those that work, and now we are sort of brainstorming the what would we do if we were to partner with a school in another country.
Yeah, I'll be happy to hear what people say, and I'm hoping this was recorded so I can hear their presentations at a later time.
Yeah.
Definitely students from Jamaica, even students from the Middle East. It's quite a variety, and it's a lot to want to work with for their identity. So how do you do that between multiple cultures, so anyway, that would be great. I'd love to hear what you guys say and do.
Brilliant. I'm gonna step away just for a moment to grab JoBeth and see what our next sort of moment is.
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, we're still here.
Yes, I'm here. Sometimes my network broken, so I don't follow.
We just had a new member come in who explained that she was from New York, and Mitch went to talk to the facilitators for a moment. But if you would like to share, we would love to hear from you.
Hi. I'm assuming you were talking to me. I just took my headphones
I
out
was
for a
actually
moment.
talking to Yonoba here.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. But yeah.
Hello?
Hi. I just,
Yes,
if you
I
wanted
thought
to,
I don't follow well the conversation. Uh, hello?
hello,
Hello.
we're listening.
Yes, what you right? Yes,
Yonoba, is there anything you'd like to
yes,
know
in Burkina
from
Faso, we
us?
are very engaged in the technology because the lack of, yes, yes. Oh, what?
We're bringing back all of the breakout
Hello?
rooms at this time. So we'll have our 12-13 participants here in the space as you come back into the room. Welcome, welcome. I hope that you were able to have some
Yes.
encouraging conversations.
Okay. Yes, you.
All right, welcome, welcome. Joe Beth, and I want to hand the mic over to you as we are all back.
Well, that was cool. I only stayed in one session, but it was really, really interesting. I think that what we'd like to do is give each group a chance to share out wherever your conversation took you, whether it was specific or if you could just somebody from your group give us a little description of what your conversation was. That would be great. And then we'll kind of wrap things up with any questions or other thoughts and a couple of resources. Would someone like to start? I'm just gonna, okay, go ahead, Mitch.
I can, so in the main room, there were 4 of us that were able to have a quick conversation. And one of the main themes that came up was student advocacy and how students are interested in telling stories about what their struggles are. And maybe that there's opportunity for bonding or like storytelling as we think about cross-border collaborations and story share.
Great. Who was not in Mitch's room who'd like to talk a little bit? Alexandra, were you in that room?
I wasn't. I was with Katrina and with Dia.
Oh, would you like to talk about that conversation?
Yeah. So Dia asked an interesting question, which is, would the young people that we work with be interested in an exchange? And that kind of brought up sort of what kids are interested in at different ages and also like what context they're operating from as well. Like I noticed, Jo Beth, you mentioned that your students are kind of predominantly, one of the other things that came up was the idea of the privilege of speaking English and how if you're working cross-culturally, you may be working with people for whom English might be their second or third language, right? And so kind of mediating across language and understanding that folks who maybe only speak one language are talking to people who are on their third, and, you know, wanting to make sure that we understand that people are really smart. They're just, you know, doing it in another language. And helping that level of communication, but also, you know, whether their age might impact how and if they're able to collaborate with one another, and also their context. Like my 16-year-old briefly joined us for the conversation, and you know, they go to a very mixed, very diverse school where they wouldn't bat an eye about, you know, having a conversation with someone across the world. For other kids, there might need to be more support to help kind of make that connection more fruitful, I think.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Caitlin, do you want to talk a little bit?
Sure. We talked a little bit about like the logistics of how we might connect, like what would that actually look like? So maybe like using WhatsApp. So like Zita shared that his students don't have access to technology at home, but Zita has a phone that potentially like he could use WhatsApp to record messages from his students and we could share messages that way. And that maybe students could share stories about their own lives, their own context, and learn about one another's lives and environments that way. And Zita's students Zita's an English teacher, so Zita's students could practice their English skills by like describing their environment, and my students could describe their environment, and that there could be an interesting way to find areas of overlap and areas of like, wow, so that's so different. And so yeah, could be an interesting way to connect. And then we'd just see where it would go from there, kind of a thing. Like it would, who knows what would emerge.
Something that we talked about was that it might seem daunting to actually connect kids from across the world, but if it happens in steps, you know, things happen. So I would say don't let the sense that it could be impossible deter you, because it's not. You know, it is possible. Did anybody else have a conversation with a breakout group? Let's do this. Let's go around. If you would like to speak or put in the chat a takeaway, something you're leaving this session thinking about in terms of trying to use theater as a way to bridge cultures. We know that there are obstacles, but we also know that there are possibilities. Just by the fact that you've had a chance to talk about it in words with people, maybe not from your own lived experience, what's a takeaway that you have that you might continue to mull about? And maybe you could let's just put those in the chat, and then we'll see if anything sparkles. Start the conversation and see where it goes. Collaboration takes time. I wonder how a performance between the two countries could manifest. Yeah. Technology, I think, is a friend and will continue to become a friend as it advances. Students are more inclined to communicate online, for sure. When building connections between young people, it's important to let them lead. For sure. Yeah. Online gaming helps young people so comfortable communicating with people that they have never seen and may never see. But there's also value in in face to face, even if it's through a computer screen, talking with each other. I'm aware of being mindful about a potential power imbalance. US exports our culture to the world. More folks know more about us than we know about almost anywhere else in the world. Being sure to make space to learn about and appreciate other people in practice is so valuable for our kids. How do you learn to be humble? I'd be interested in seeing students write about short plays and share them with global peers and have the peers do stage readings of their works. Yeah. Yeah. One of the global competence skills is communication and ease with technology and empathy building, and these cross-cultural projects require that and tap that and exercise that. These are awesome thoughts. I have a screenshot, or I have one more slide, and if you want to take a screenshot of it, it is going to show you links to these Fulbright programs, which is what got Dia and me connected to each other. So if you'd like to just take a screenshot of that, let me share my slide or my screen for a hot minute. So these are some of the programs that are available for United States teachers. They also have programs available for non-US teachers. So if you just link to those, you can get more information. This was the program that I was in, and it was in a slightly different one, but it's what connected us. Does anybody have any? Oh, wait. I just saw a question. Oh, yeah, I can, let me go back. Yeah, I'll just share the slides. How about I put the link to the slides in the chat, okay?
I love that, JoBeth. And we'll be sure that not only the recording of this session, but that link to the slides is also updated in the materials that would be available to all of the conference registration
Okay.
folks.
But in the meantime, let me stick that in there as well. This was awesome. Does anyone else have any requests or questions? Oh, one more. US drama teachers could help students write their script remotely and perform the play. Tech can help US teachers have a look on the rehearsals. Dee and I have next steps that are percolating that sort of relates to that. So we're gonna keep trying to keep our kids connected. So we'll see what happens. Dia, do you want to have any final words?
What to say? I'm really happy because you gave us the opportunity today to share what we have been doing so far as regards cross-cultural education programs, education projects that connect two different countries, two different nations, cultures. And it's just amazing to see young kids. They are discussing about aspects of other students have here referring to stage a play. Yeah. My experience in the US was amazing, and I really would like to see a powerful network of US drama teachers or US teachers skilled in arts education, collaborating with teachers in developing nations to make something powerful, because I think that arts education can change the world. Art education can instill in younger kids leadership. And in the US, teachers are able to teach students leadership. And I would like the same for my country. So thank you for your participation, for your engagement, and the time you devoted to listen to Dr. G and I.
Those are lovely words to close on. Thank you for hosting, Mitch. And some of us may see each other in person in a few days in Chicago. Thank you all for being a part of this, and I hope we can stay connected.
Thank you, JoBeth. Thank you, Dia. That is the conclusion of the session. I'm going to keep the space open for a few moments here in case anyone has lingering questions or needs to download the clips at all. But thank you all so much. I'm going to stop recording at this time.